Let's bring in Republican House Judiciary Committee member John Ratcliffe of Texas. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir. You heard all the updates there. So what should happen next?
Well, Adam Schiff should sit down with the FBI, and as folks know, he spent the last week saying that Republicans should be ashamed of ourselves for not listening to everything that the FBI and the Department of Justice say. And in this case, what they say is that there are dozens of national security concerns, sources and methods in the Democrats' rebuttal memo that need to be taken out. So hopefully he'll listen to them, they'll take them out, and people will see that memo.
But still, then what happens? So do they make changes to the memo, and does it become a new memo, or does ultimately the president then decide to release this memo? Clear some of this up for us.
Sure, Sandra. So if the Democrats' rebuttal memo hypothetically says that a highly placed intelligence asset attended a particular event in a particular country, in a particular location, at a particular time, which it does, I can figure out who that intelligence asset is. And if I can, our adversaries can. Those are the types of sources and methods that we're talking about. And the Democrats' memo has them all over the place. So those things need to be redacted and taken out. That can be done. Once that is done, then the Democrats' memo will be declassified and the people will see it. But it won't change the ultimate facts. The Democrats' memo doesn't say and can't say that Hillary Clinton, that the FISA court was told that Hillary Clinton, her campaign, and the DNC paid for this dossier, or that Christopher Steele, who put together the dossier, was desperate to keep Donald Trump from becoming president, or that same Christopher Steele had a personal relationship with the number 4 lawyer at the Department of Justice, Bruce Orr, and his wife, Nellie Orr, who did the research for the dossier at Fusion GPS. Those facts won't change.
Well, you just heard Devin Nunes say, look, we want this out. We obviously made that very clear unanimously. We want this to get out. It's become so very political, and Nunes calling the memo itself so very political. But talking about Christopher Steele, Devin Nunes says, here Democrats say he's a good source. Well, here's what Nunes said about Christopher Steele over the weekend.
Christopher Steele lied to the FBI, and I can't for the life of me know, when you have the House who said that, hey, this guy lied to the FBI, and you have the Senate who said this guy lied to the FBI, Christopher Steele, what is the Justice Department doing? Where is the prosecution of Christopher Steele? This is a slam dunk case. He's
calling it a slam dunk case, is it?
Well, here's what we know, Sandra. Christopher Steele was an MI6 agent. But we also know that when the FBI employed him, he violated their rules. He leaked his relationship with the FBI to the press. He leaked information about his dossier to the press. And for that reason, he was terminated. So I understand that the criminal referral has been made. I will say at the end of the day, the fact that he is a former British intelligence agent probably is going to preclude him from being compelled. I can't imagine that the Brits would ever extradite him. So these answers are going to have to come from folks at the FBI and the Department of Justice who handled Christopher Steele. That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of.
So if Devin Nunes asked that question of you, where's the prosecution of Christopher Steele? Your answer is what?
Well, it never comes from Congress. We have an oversight role, and we're bringing facts to light that will allow prosecutors to look into this particular process and if appropriate, bring charges against folks. As I said, compelling Christopher Steele to testify, I think, is going to be difficult.
So we're all left wondering what we're going to learn from all this. Who's going to be held accountable? And to bring this back to the politics surrounding the release of that memo, ultimately, we heard from both parties, the point of the release of these memos was so the American people could decide for themselves. So how does this all end, Congressman?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. I do, at this point, think that we're on a path where the American people should see both of the memos. But remember, those are both just summaries, and they're both partisan to some extent. But there are underlying documents to these FISA applications. I'm one of just a few members of Congress that have seen them. And I think ultimately what we're trying to do, for anyone that has had the opportunity that I've had, is that we've seen abuses to the FISA process where people have taken powerful surveillance tools for law enforcement and counterintelligence that are vital and appropriate and necessary, but have used them for political agendas. And I think those facts ultimately need to come to light. That's how we restore faith and trust in the FBI and the Department of Justice that has been shaken with a lot of the American public.
Does this concern you, the back and forth that we've seen and the political nature of all of this?
Absolutely, because the FBI and the Department of Justice are supposed to be decidedly apolitical. They are not supposed to be the story themselves. So it is troubling. It's heartbreaking. I spent a good part of my career at the Department of Justice, and I'm more proud of that association than I am with the institution of Congress. But the only way we can restore people's faith and trust is to go through this very painful process, be fair and deliberate about it, but provide these answers so the American people can believe in our justice system again.
For many of us. Congressman Ratcliffe, thanks for coming on this morning, trying to clear up a lot of that. We'll see where this goes.